Greetings, this is Hoss Turlington, 6th generation descendant of Indian Territories, Delaware District, which is, of course, now Oklahoma's Delaware and Ottawa counties. The purpose of this video is to inform you not only about recent Miami resident Roger Nelums' contributions to our community prior to his death by shotgun while burglarizing a local home last Thursday night, but to tell you about the mysterious circumstances involving his release from the Ottawa County Jail 2 days prior while he had a dozen active Ottawa County warrants for his arrest, many of them felonies. What's worse, this isn't the only time Nelums had managed his release from incarceration despite having active felony arrest warrants. And many of those felony arrest warrants were for convictions. He'd already been convicted on these felonies, he just hadn't kept to the terms of his parole. Nelums was convicted of many felonies in Ottawa County, given suspended sentences for each, violated parole by committing crimes while on each of those probations, including other felonies, yet our Carpetbagger District Attorney Kenny Wright kept letting Nelums plead guilty in exchange for one suspended sentence after another, keeping him here in our community instead of sending him to prison so he could continue to prey on citizens who actually had jobs and took care of their families. Why? The answer is obvious to anyone who has read my books or watched my videos. Note that several of the many crimes that led to Nelums' dozen active arrest warrants at the time of his death are felonies that he's already been convicted for. He just failed to meet the terms of his probated sentence because of Nelums' perceived value to District Attorney Kenny Wright as an informant. Nelums never received a real prison sentence for any of his many felony convictions in Ottawa County, but only suspended sentences. Likewise, just because some of the following crimes are not noted as convicted does not mean he was found not guilty for them, but more likely they were dropped in a plea deal, or the prosecution was still underway at the time of his death and he had yet to stand trial when he violated his parole. Also, note that just because Nelums had a dozen active arrest warrants at the time of his death, this does not mean he had just a dozen crimes that led to them. There were far more. As I will show, most of the court dockets for these criminal cases are for multiple crimes. At least one of Nelums' court dockets for the following arrest warrants contain charges for 4 crimes, 3 of them felonies. You cannot tell this from an online perusal of just the court entries, without actually seeing the court documents themselves, for the simple reason of the lack of space to list multiple charges on the online entry. The first arrest for any crime is almost always just the first time the arrestee was caught committing that crime, or at least the first time he was caught committing the action that led to the arrest. According to a Tulsa World article by Sheila Stogstill, at the time of Nelums' death, he had 12 Ottawa County outstanding warrants for his arrest for crimes ranging from child abuse, violating a protective order, domestic assault and battery, burglary of an automobile, larceny, concealing stolen property, threatening acts of violence to a female. All this domestic stuff is to children or women, and of course, drug violations. Now, this is not the extent of his criminal career at all. These are just things he had active warrants for whenever he was released from Ottawa County Jail. And all of those warrants were from Ottawa County. Child abuse. In 2016, Nelums physically assaulted his wife after she confronted him about cheating on her again. He did this in front of his 10-year-old son. Because the following day was the boy's birthday, his wife chose to stay that night instead of taking her son and leaving. Then Nelums struck his 10-year-old son in the face, and when his wife protected her son, he physically abused her further. The 10-year-old boy tried to protect his mother from Nelums. Domestic assault by strangulation. This is separate from the previously mentioned domestic assault, different woman. Domestic assault and battery by strangulation is one of the most serious crimes in Oklahoma law. It's a felony, so that means that in Oklahoma judicial districts other than ours, just the allegation by a wife or live-in girlfriend of domestic assault, especially strangulation, are serious and can result in the loss of freedom and substantial rights, including possession of a firearm. But in Nelums' case, as in his other felony convictions, and in the cases of so many other snitches in Delaware and Ottawa County, it didn't result in any of those things. The arrest for this crime leading to this arrest warrant was in 2009, and here the citizens of Ottawa County are still paying for it almost 11 years later. At the time, Nelums, who was living with his girlfriend and her father, because why get a job and get your own place like a grown-up when the Ottawa County law enforcement growth industry allows you to just steal from whoever you want, got angry at his girlfriend when he couldn't find his cologne and deodorant, blamed her for the missing toiletries, assaulted her for it, shoving her, choking her, then running outside, where he continued to beat on her in full view of the community because she followed him outside trying to get her money from him. (2006) child support case. Big surprise, Roger Nelums, the serial woman beater and child abuser, was also a deadbeat dad. What is noteworthy here is that this active arrest warrant is for a case that goes back to 2006, almost 15 years ago. Does this bother any of you? Do you realize how much money just this one case has cost Ottawa County over the years? Those judges in the Ottawa County Courthouse make good salaries, especially for Ottawa County. So do the prosecutors, the defense attorneys, and when they're court-appointed lawyers, guess who pays for them? The same people that pay for the salaries of the judges and prosecutors and bailiffs and court reporters and court clerks and county legal secretaries and paralegals and local cops and everyone else involved in the babysitting of loser criminals like Roger Nelums.
They're down like that in Arkansas and in Missouri too.